a really good investment for most people, if you're just wanting to sit back and do nothing, is index trackers and that type of thing. But if you are in your mid to late 60s, early 70s, that may not be the best play because it's a longer term play.
I've always come from the insurance background mostly. It's kind of all because of Start Trading that I actually got into financial advice.
Interesting. Hello everybody and welcome to Not Financial Advice with me, Lewis Crompton. Today I am joined by Mark, who is one of my mentees, also a fantastic trader, but that's not all he is. So today we're going to be talking to Mark and hearing a little bit about his journey with trading, who he is, why he got into it and all of that sort of stuff. So yeah, Mark, just give us a very brief introduction to you.
Well, my name is Mark. I'm in my 40s.
We'll leave it at that.
Yeah, we'll leave it at that. Yeah, one of the reasons I wanted to learn to trade was obviously when lockdown hits, I went through a bit of a rough patch. I had a business partner and we won't go into that. But anyway, my business went bash. Started looking at a lot of my financial things and realized, wow, you know, what you get told out there and what actually is completely different.
Mm-hmm. Which is interesting coming from you as a financial advisor.
Well,
it's
kind of, so I've always come from the insurance background mostly. It's kind of all because of Start Trading that I actually got into financial advice.
Interesting, because normally I bash financial advisors.
Yeah, 100%. You should. You should. You should. So I started looking at my own stuff and I was like, why am I paying all these fees?
Yeah.
You know? And
now you charge them.
No, I do things differently.
Okay.
I really do. I try and really do things differently because what financial advisors do is you always look at your money and like, why is it not growing? Well, it's because they're taking 3, 4, 5%,
wow. Yeah.
you know, and to get an investment that does 5% at the moment is not easy. So I mean, that's been one of the things why I started doing it. I was like, well, changed my own stuff, which took a while. Did all my courses in it, which took a while, but I had the time. Obviously learned to trade and learned financial markets. And now I feel like I can actually give people proper financial advice and not rake them on their fees and stuff.
Yeah. So what's kind of the mindset behind that for you? Because obviously a lot of financial advisors, and by the way, there is some good financial advisors out there like Mark, but they do generally take massive fees, which is why I tend to say to people, you need to understand what's happening with your money. Yeah. And a lot of people will just hand their money over to a financial advisor and not actually have any sense of ownership or understanding as to what's happening.
So what I generally do is with clients like that is I go in, I look at their portfolios, I see what their charges are, I see what kind of portfolios they're in, kind of do a proper risk assessment with them. Like, what do you want? Where do you want to be? Okay, how are we going to get there? What do you invest in? And I really don't charge. Be quite a wealthy person if I charged a lot, but I'm not. But it's fine because it's what I found happens is when you give people honest advice, people refer. So, you know, you might have 5 clients before you make, or 10 clients before you make what one guy's making off one client, but isn't that the way it should be? Yeah. And I can sleep at night.
And you can sleep at night. Yeah,
exactly.
And that's the important thing.
Yeah.
So explain to me then, and for people who may not understand, when you say you go in and you look at someone's portfolio, is that property? Is that stocks and shares? Is it bonds? What kind of is it?
So yeah, it's mainly look, it could, a lot of people, you've got to take property into account. If they've got property, we can have the argument about property investment. I think property investment worldwide is a good thing. In South Africa,
maybe not
so great. It hasn't gone the way it should have. But yeah, you'll generally find that that people. So, for instance, I'm going to use an example. I had a woman now, she's in her 60s, very loyal to her past financial advisor. I actually did some of her daughter's stuff, and then she asked me, can I look at her stuff? And I mean, this financial advisor has been good to her, and I'm not mentioning names, but he hasn't had her in a proper fund because, I mean, she wants to obviously be low risk at her age. She doesn't want to lose her money. But it's very, very easy to, I mean, a lot of balanced equity funds have been growing 5-6%. Hers in the last 3 years has done -2.
Wow.
So it was a simple case of let's cut the fees and put you in something that's actually going to grow your money a little bit over the next 10 years.
And I think it's interesting to use that example because I think a lot of the time when people are looking at wealth planning or finance planning, one of the bits they forget is their age.
Yeah.
And so often I see on YouTube or on Instagram, and I say this as well, like a really good investment for most people, if you're just wanting to sit back and do nothing, is index trackers and that type of thing. But if you are in your mid to late 60s, early 70s, that may not be the best play because it's a longer term play.
And I think guys, it's not a case of parking your money and leaving it there. Things change. I mean, we've seen, I think that's one thing the last 3-4 years has taught everyone. I mean, what's going to happen next? You know? So it's not a case, I think it's important for me as a person's financial, I think you should be looking at that stuff all the time. At least so they're entrusting you to do that. So you should be looking at it in 3 months and going, okay, this has not performed the way we thought it was going to. Maybe we should move that a bit and move that. And this is now performing. Guys,
Interesting. You say every 3 months. I think most people will probably look at that once a year.
Yeah, and sometimes not even.
And sometimes not even. Yeah.
I mean, with my old, I took a lot of money away from my old financial advisor for that very reason. I looked at it and I was like, okay, I know 2020 happened, 2021 happened. It hasn't done anything. What are you getting your fees for?
Yeah.
And we had our annual review on Zoom because obviously you couldn't meet. And I said to him, and he couldn't tell me.
Yeah.
And I said, well, you know what?
Give me my
money back.
Yeah.
I'll do it myself.
Yeah. And I think that's the attitude that I really want to instill in people is you have to take ownership over your own money. No one is going to take care of your money better than you are.
100%.
Well, maybe not better, but no one's going to have your interest at heart more so than you are.
So that's what I try and do on a financial basis. I try and have the client, because I saw what happened to me and I'm like, I don't want to be that. And a lot of people, so me and you might be a bit financially savvy. A lot of people are really, really not. And that's why they just park their money with someone and expect it to actually do something. And half the time,
it doesn't do a lot.
Yeah, and then they're looking at it and they're like, oh, I'm not losing. Yeah, but
you're not growing.
You might as well put it in the bank then, because, you know?
Yeah,
so
they're just making somebody else money with their money.
100%.
Yeah,
and a lot of these guys are big, and they've got, they might be taking 3%, but they're taking 3% of how many people? I mean, that's massive amounts of money. They don't need to take that amount of money.
No. So let's take it a step back then. And you obviously had this business partner, and things didn't work out there. And the amount of times I hear that business partners don't work out, like I don't want a business partner.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had business partners, and it's not worked out very well. So I've been burned with that. I think it's very rare to find a good business partner.
Someone said something to me. The only ship that's guaranteed to sink is a partnership.
Yeah, I've seen that, definitely true. Yeah. So stepping back to that, and then your decision to actually learn to trade for yourself.
Yeah.
Talk to me more about that and what kind of the reasoning was behind that.
Okay, so obviously lockdown, used to being at a corporate company with a partner, and I mean, I worked hard. I was there 7 o'clock till 6 o'clock, and then lockdown happened, and I've got a child, a daughter, which I love. And I started spending all this time with her and actually learning about her. And I was like, this corporate thing that you get stuck to, yes, you earn tons of money and it's wonderful, but you don't actually have a life.
Yeah.
And I started thinking, no, I have to try and find something to spend more time with my daughter. And I started off, unfortunately, didn't find you first.
Yeah.
Found crypto guys first.
Yeah.
And they came with all these massive promises and you're going to earn this amount of money. And I was like, I'm going to go for it. I'm tired of not taking risks. And bam. And then obviously found Star Trading. It probably took me about 6 months after that to actually join.
Well, you would do, because you've had your trust burned.
100%.
And so it takes time to build that trust
100%.
again.
And then people, you see a lot of things on the internet. And
Yeah.
a lot of people are not trustworthy on the internet. We know that. And then I remember I actually booked a consultation with you on video.
Yeah.
And I still thought to myself, I'm going to ask a couple of questions, and if they don't check out, I'm just going to say no. And, it was one of those things where I felt comfortable immediately. And then started the course, and I was like, oh no, I'm over my head. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
And I mean, the rest is kind of history.
So when did you, because I think that's a really interesting thought process. I think a lot of people can feel very overwhelmed because it's a completely new skill set. It's a completely new set of information. So when did, for you kind of get over that initial shock and start to actually feel like, okay, I've got this. I've got this going. And what helped get you to that point?
So I think, obviously I wanted to go through the course as quick as possible, which is all very well. I think everyone does it. And I don't think it's a bad thing, because it makes you kind of realize you don't really know too much. And then what I did was I started trying to understand a few of the beginning things. But the thing that really helped me was when I actually started watching, looking at charts and seeing, putting everything in there into actual practice. And I mean, I looked at charts for a long time before I ever did anything. I was probably too long, but I was cautious. But once you start understanding that really helped. And then, I mean, even now, I still go back to the course.
Yeah.
Especially if I've had a losing trade, I'll go back to practicing, I'll go back to the course. I mean, I actually had a losing trade the other day. And it was one of those things where I didn't scroll the charts up far enough to see that my entry was actually, there was a lot of resistance points further back. And I was like, if I'd done that, I would have never taken that trade. But you know what? Tick off, something learned. Yeah. And now remember to check that. And I still do. I still go back to the course all the time.
It's why they say that you only really become a good trader. You might be profitable, but you only really become a good trader after about 5 years because of little things like that and little lessons that you learn along the way. And that's why I get so frustrated when you see these people trying to teach others. I'm like, you've been doing this for about a week. Like, what is wrong with you? You don't actually have the track record and the history and you've been through the trenches and had those losing runs and had those winning streaks and all of that.
And I mean, you know, the other thing is that which took me a long time when I started live trading to get used to. When you're doing back testing, it's cool because you can skip across and you don't even notice how many days you were actually in the trade or candles until you're in a live trade and then it starts going against you, then it goes for you and you're like...
And you're on that emotional roller coaster,
But now...
And when you first start, it is, but
But now you almost expect it. It's like, I know what this is going to do. It's going to do this, it's going to do that, but then, you know, just stick by it and that's it.
So from the point of kind of learning to trade and deciding, right, I've lost this money on this thing. I'm not in the greatest financial position. So I'm going to go last ditch attempt at life here. I'm going to go into this, which by the way, thank you very much for trusting me with that big decision, and it paid off. So then you can thank me. But from that point of like, right, I'm going to learn to then trading live, how long was that process?
I joined in September, I remember, because it was around my birthday time. I started demo account in the December, and I did that for about 2 weeks, and I won a couple of trades, and I was like, you know what?
Let's go for it.
Yeah, so I funded it wasn't a big account, to be honest. I funded that, and so I started from there.
But we would always say, don't start with a big account.
No, 100%. 100%. But and then obviously my first trade ever I lost.
Yeah.
As would be 6-7 demo trades, all winners.
Yeah.
First live trade.
Yeah, typical.
Lost.
Yeah.
I mean, it was even the same when we upped the accounts and whatever, when I upped the accounts.
Every time I increase my account, I have a loser. Every time. Yeah.
I was like, I can't be serious.
Yeah.
And I actually had when I upped my account, my first 3 were losers. And I was like, no. Took a step back, said, you know what?
Yeah.
It happens. To be honest with you, the 2 of the 3 trades were actually good trades. I would have taken them again. Yeah. I remember we had that conversation.
Yeah.
I said I would have taken those again. It was one of those ones where the one day that candle sparks and then it actually moves the right way because of your stop. And another lesson learned, so I started putting my stops a little bit higher or lower. Yeah. But it wasn't long.
But again, I think you've said a couple of really interesting things there for me. So number one is when that happened, you had somebody to go and get basic moral support from and be like, don't worry about it, double check them. Are they good trades or not? Yeah.
I mean, with the community, I think I know there were about 3 or 4 of us all in those trades and we all said, and as I said on the community group, I was like, you know what, you feel lousy because you've lost it, but it's nice to have that like support. Like everyone was in it. We know that they were good trades. We didn't expect it to do that, and so that's the thing about this whole thing in the community. And there's always someone that'll help.
Yeah. Partly because there's always someone awake.
Yeah, 100%.
Because we're all over the place now, which is great. Okay, so then you started live trading. How's it gone since you started live trading?
I've had 1 negative month.
Wow. And by the way, I think it's really important that people do understand that we don't win every single trade. Yeah. We don't win necessarily every single month, but on the balance, that's why we always say take an average return for the year. Yeah, I had 1 negative month since I started live trading. That was when I upped my account. Yeah. And it was just a case of going back, settling down. And I mean, by the way, I made that money up quite quickly. So exactly.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
So what would you say kind of on a monthly basis now is your average return? Percentage-wise, obviously.
Percentage-wise, obviously. Look, so the markets have been a bit strange at the moment. I've been a bit cautious because the markets have been strange. Yeah. But I'd say on average over the time, I must be 3-4%.
Yeah, brilliant. And I think what I'm noticing a lot when I'm talking to people is we're used to making 5 to 10%.
Yes.
But people are being so cautious because the market's been weird that we're looking around 3 to 5%. I would say kind of as average.
I mean, how often at the moment is a trade setting up perfectly and then you wait for that?
You don't get it.
I was chatting with Josh the other day. You're waiting for that confirmation candle and it just never comes.
Yeah.
Gold's a prime example now.
Yeah, this is what's so good is because we do have really strict criteria. Mm-hmm. If we're not getting that trigger candle, then we don't go in.
100%.
And that keeps you safe when the markets are weird. So it's so important that people have that. And by the way, when we are talking 3%, 4%, 5%, we are talking per month, not per year, which is better than funds or anything
100%.
else. So yeah.
Much better.
Yeah.
I wish some of these older clients, I wish I could teach them to trade, but they're not interested.
No, true. So what would you say then is from the work you're doing with your trading, I say work, how many hours a day, what time are you putting in per day with your trading?
It's a lot shorter now, 30 minutes, maybe on a Monday, slightly more.
Yeah.
Because Monday's obviously the weekend. You want to see what the markets have done. You've looked at them. You're waiting for things.
Yeah.
But I mean, some days it's less because you know what you're watching. I'm
Yeah,
watching X, Y, and Z, and the others there's nothing. So don't really even have to kind
Just
of
move
go.
on.
Yeah.
There are some days where you've done it in less than 5 minutes, less than 10 minutes, because
100%.
it's not got what you need.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Because I always ask the question because people never believe me.
No, I know. I didn't believe you.
Yeah. Neither did Calvin.
No, I didn't believe you.
Anyway. Okay, so what one piece of advice would you give to people who are interested in trading, want to start this journey? What would you say to them?
Sign up with you and the community. It's awesome. It's amazing around the world that there's so many like-minded people, and I think I missed one community live since I started, and that was just because I always enjoy that chat. I enjoy where people are, and I enjoy seeing new people, see more experienced people.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really easy to learn. Actually, it's not hard. If I look back on it, yes, it looks hard in the beginning, but it's really not. It's not rocket science.
Once you know what it's about, bringing the puzzle pieces into focus and into place, and then you've got it.
And but I also feel like the learning never stops with it, which is that interests me. I've always wanted to learn financial markets and stuff, and the learning never stops. But that's perfect. So yeah.
And from all of your trading experience so far, what would you say has been the biggest lesson in your trading?
Biggest lesson. Well, I've kind of seen how easy it can be to make money, to be honest with you. Everyone makes it so complicated, and you always think it's complicated, but it's really not. So that's been one big lesson. I also think trading's opened my eyes to a bit of a bigger world, to be honest with you, in a lot of ways. I think when you're in a corporate, you got blinkers on, and you think of everything, that business has got to make money. I mean, I had a lot of responsibility with this partner. I virtually ran the place, and I see now that you don't have to work 7 to 7. There's a lot of opportunities out there, and it's all about firstly finding like-minded people, chatting to people about different things, getting different ideas. Corporates, you're all in the same place, so you all got your blinkers on. That's how it is.
Yeah.
It's not really.
Yeah. So do you feel like trading then has, jumping right back to the start of our conversation, you said when lockdown hit and you got to actually spend time with your daughter and spend more time with her, have a better quality of relationship there. Has trading given you some of that back? Has it given you better quality of life?
100%. Even with my business now, it's I work from home. My hours on my own. I trade. I do this. I do that. Obviously, there is times where you're really busy, but it's nowhere near the 7 to 7 corporate world that I was. And I'd like to keep it that way because you can't just work. It doesn't work.
You've got to have a life as well.
Yeah, you have a holiday once a year.
Yeah.
All this time you're missing kids growing up, and
exactly.
So definitely.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, Mark, thank you very much for your time. It's been
Liz.
fantastic. And thank you, everybody, for listening. We'll see you on the next video. Bye-bye.